Hello and welcome back to my channel. You're at Kim's Cozy Corner and I'm Kim. It is mid-August and the summer season is dying down and the fall season is just starting to ramp up. So we're going to do some work in the garden today. Now that it's mid-August, I am honestly getting a little slack on some of my garden maintenance, and I'm trying to pick things back up. I just need that last burst of energy to get me through this summer season of my garden. And it's time to do some liquid fertilizer. So it's actually been probably a month since I did a liquid fertilizer in my garden. But about a month ago, I did a top dressing of a granular fertilizer. So I know it gave me some benefit over the last month or so. But now I need to get back to my regiment of my liquid fertilizer. And so my liquid fertilizer is Fox Farm Grow Big. It's a 644. So Fox Farm Grow Big liquid fertilizer. Liquid fertilizer provides immediate nutrition to your plants, where granular is typically a slow release. So we're going to get my vegetables fertilized. So the directions say, let's see here, general feeding is 2 to 3 teaspoons per gallon of water, every other watering. So I usually do a liquid fertilizer every 10 to 14 days when I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing anyway. And I know I'm behind, but I've been traveling a lot. So I was home this week, but prior to this week, I traveled 3 out of the last 4 weeks, which has really put me behind in the garden. And so it's time for us to catch up. And so I will be doing a liquid fertilizer for my GreenStalks, which are right here behind me, all of my raised beds and containers. So this is going to take a few minutes, but we are going to get this done. In addition to fertilizing today, I am going to do some harvesting as well. And so once the fertilizing is done, I will bring you along for the harvesting as well. But let's get this fertilizing done first. When it comes to fertilizing my GreenStalks, that's what these are, vertical towers. The name of this tower is GreenStalk. And there's actually going to be a link in my description box if you're interested in this type of vertical tower called a GreenStalk, that you can go to the website, check it out, learn about the GreenStalks if you want to grow vertically, as well as there will be a coupon code in there. Kozy10 will get you $10 off your purchase of $75 or more. But I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about the GreenStalks in this video, but if you're interested, check out the description box and you'll get more information on it. But when I'm fertilizing my GreenStalks with a liquid fertilizer, you want to make sure that you have a liquid fertilizer that doesn't have a lot of residue in it, because the residue will clog up the hose of your GreenStalk and it will not water properly. So the Fox Farm Grow Big is perfect for the GreenStalks. Now, before I fertilize, I also make sure that the towers are fully watered. The soil is nice and moist, because I want this fertilizer to suck up and go right into the plants. But I don't want it to be dry where it doesn't get to every layer, every tier of the tower. So I watered the towers this morning, and now we are adding the fertilizer. For my towers, I add about 2 gallons of water to each tower, or 2 gallons of fertilizer to each tower. And if you have a GreenStalk, you absolutely need to add liquid fertilizer more frequent than you would in a raised bed, because when you water, you're flushing that water through the tower, and it could flush out that nutrition faster than it would in a raised bed. And yes, we will harvest this tower here later today. There's a ton of green peppers on here. Look at all those green peppers. We will get those harvested next. Now I'm going to, like I said, water all of my containers as well. And I keep saying water, but you know I mean fertilize, right? The way I think about fertilizer, hopefully you can hear me, is that when I plant my vegetables, I include some type of compost, some type of granular fertilizer, along with my potting mix that I use in all of my beds. And from there, after about the first month or so, I start doing liquid fertilizer every 10 to 14 days. About mid-season, I like to come behind it with a top dressing of a granular fertilizer to add in more of that nutrition that's going to slowly release into the soil, and then get back to my every 10 to 14 days. And this is the first year that I've been very consistent with my fertilizing, and I've had the biggest carrot harvest this year that I've ever had. I've had the biggest onion harvest that I've ever had. The tomatoes are huge and they are delicious. I mean, just everything is really working. So this will probably be the process that I follow going forward from year to year. This is my strawberry tower. I know I'm way in the background, but it's starting to put strawberries on again now that we've cooled off just a little bit. And then I have strawberries over here in a tin tub, a galvanized, I think it's what it is, galvanized tub. So let's add some fertilizer here. Have some okra over here. And you can't see me, but there are more strawberries over here around one of my peach trees. And I do have quite a few empty containers that are waiting for fall planting. For my raised beds, I just walk by and give it a good sprinkle. And again, my raised beds were already watered this morning. And I'm adding, I would say, just about 2 gallons per raised bed. So I'm finished with fertilizing, and now I'm going to start harvesting some of my vegetables. And as I was saying earlier, these peppers desperately need harvesting, and they need to go into the spaghetti sauce and pizza sauce that I'll be canning up tomorrow. So let's get these harvested. I have multiple containers here for harvesting. Let's see what we want to put. Let's put the peppers in this one here. Actually, let's put them in this one. And so I will tell you a little bit about the different peppers that I'm picking. So this is, let me show it to you, a Joe Parker. It's a horn-shaped pepper. It's super, super sweet, and it's a thicker wall pepper. So Joe Parker. And you can pick them at any stage, but if you wait and pick them when they're red, they are super, super sweet. Now this next pepper is a paprika pepper. Let's see how many I got up there that's ready. So this is a paprika pepper, super sweet as well. Unless it gets cross-pollinated, like I have another plant over there that got cross-pollinated and I had my mother eat it. I said, hey, it's a sweet pepper. Don't worry about it. It's not spicy. It's not hot. It's sweet. She bit into it, got one of the seeds, and she told me that I was setting her up for failure. But I believe that particular pepper was cross-pollinated because I have serranos right next to that particular pepper. So I think there's cross-pollination. But these in the tower are absolutely super sweet. For the paprika peppers, I did dehydrate most of them, and I'm going to turn them into a paprika powder. Some more Joe Parkers. All right, so this is a Marconi. Again, super sweet, thick wall pepper, Marconi. I have had these get super, super big, but they are extremely sweet. They're good for frying, sauteing, roasting, all of the above. This is another Marconi. Let's get all of those first. All right, this one is a Marconi. Same thing, thick wall, very sweet, but this is a Thunderbolt. Now this Thunderbolt is just like a Marconi. It's super thick walls and super sweet. And that's all that I have in this tower here are sweet peppers. Let's go up here and grab some bells. This is a King of the North, red bell pepper here. This is the tiny King of the North. Same thing, King of the North. And I think that's all I'm going to pick. Some of these are just starting to turn red, and I'm going to leave them on here for a few more days. That's it for my super sweet peppers that I'm going to pick from this tower. Look at that. Nice harvest. But I am also going to pick some shishitos. Shishitos are not sweet. I usually blister them and dip them in some type of creamy dressing. And oh, they are so good. And I usually pick them when they're green and not red. But haven't had a chance to really get out here and get these picked. So some of these have already turned red. I'll bring them in close so you can kind of see them in just a moment. I believe I only have 2 shishito plants. It may be 3, but they have been producing like crazy. They have blooms all over them. Come in close so you can see it. So this is a shishito pepper. Probably 1 in 1,000 would be hot, but most of these are not hot at all. Again, I just blister them and dip them in some type of creamy dip. Ranch dressing. I've actually made a German cucumber salad, and that creamy dressing from that cucumber salad, I've dipped it in that as well. Oh my goodness, this one is loaded. If anybody knows of any other recipes for shishito peppers besides blistering or grilling, please let me know, because I am really enjoying them. But I'm sure there's other ways to enjoy them as well. So in the comments, let me know of some other recipes and other ways to enjoy shishito peppers. Okay, what is this here? Oh, those are Joe Parkers. They're not ready yet. They're nice, green, full, big, but not ready. Wow. Look at all of these blooms. Oh, these are paprikas. I might get another flush of paprikas before the end of my season. So it's mid-August. My first frost isn't until mid to late October. So I should be able to get quite a few more peppers off of this tower. And this is by far the best season I've had with my pepper tower. I think that's it. I think I've gotten all, well, there's one I missed. That's it for the day off of my pepper tower. So there's my harvest off of just one pepper tower. There are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 tiers. There are 6 pockets in a tier, so 24 plants. And I'm harvesting about this much at least weekly. And so they are doing really well, and these are delicious. So let's work on something else. All right, let me look at this tower really quickly here. All right, there's quite a few in here that are growing nicely, but they are not, oh, well, let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and harvest this one here. But the rest of them, I think, have more time on them. Don't see anything else that's ready to go. But there's some really nice sized ones here that are starting to really get pretty big. I also see a dead plant that I need to cut out. So let me cut that out. Usually when I see something's dying, I cut it out as soon as I know it's dying, but I really haven't been here to really take care of those type things, unfortunately. Now, if it's dying back and it has a tomato on it, I'm just going to leave it there for now. Same here with this one. Maybe I can get the dead piece off of it. Now, my tomato plants, when I cut them back or pull them out, I don't put those plants in my compost. I toss them in the trash so that they don't infect my compost pile. If I have big leafy pieces, I usually just throw them in the trash. All right, let's go work on something else. So I'm over to my medium spice peppers is what I call this space over here. I have my poblanos over here. I have my jalapenos over here. My ancho chili peppers, my pepper, I call them Greek peppers because I can't pronounce it. So just to be honest with you, I can't pronounce it, but they're my Greek peppers. And so we are going to go ahead and harvest a couple poblanos, because I will be making salsa verde in the next couple of days. So we'll go ahead and harvest a couple of those. And I'm separating these from my sweet peppers so that my family doesn't get concerned about something being hot. Now this one says it's a poblano and it's obviously not a poblano. Somehow the pepper has gotten, that's definitely not a poblano. So I'm going to assume it's some type of hot pepper. We'll get it here. Jalapenos. Actually, my jalapenos are not doing so well this year, but my jalapenos, so they have the jalapeno taste without the heat, they have been doing extraordinary this year. Last year, I made a ton of cowboy candy with my jalapenos, so I won't be making any cowboy candy this year. So I think it's going to be okay that I don't have a lot of jalapenos. So for most of the salsa, I'm going to use the jalapenos. And then I'll have a few jars of spicy salsa, and I'll put the jalapenos in those. All right. So let's go over to the super hot pepper area. So I have one little tomato and a handful of peppers from this space. Let's go to the other space. Okay, so now I am in what I call my hot pepper space. And this here is a datil. And I tell you what, oh, there's one. Okay, it's just now putting on a couple blooms. It's not very happy. It's a super hot pepper. It was a free pepper, so it's nothing that I was like really expecting a nice harvest on, but It's not happy at all. These are Baggio here. They look a lot like the shishito peppers, the Baggio peppers do. But these are definitely, some people would say this is a medium heat. To my family, it's more than they can handle. So I got some Serrano peppers right here. This is a paprika that I believe got cross-pollinated. And then I have another bell pepper back here. It's green. I'm going to go ahead and pick it, because I didn't pick any green bell peppers. That's it from a pepper standpoint. But I have tons of other things that need to get picked, including these collard greens that are right behind me. So let me get a different container and let's start working on these collards. So now we are going to work on these collards here. Now, about a month ago, they had been ravished by different types of cabbage moths. They've come back, they're healthy, they're beautiful, they're happy. So we're going to pick these almost all the way back. One of the things I like to do with my collards is to go ahead and cut them into the size pieces that we prefer to enjoy them. And so I will just kind of show you the process really quickly here. And I usually freeze my collard greens, but they are already prepared to be cooked. So that process, all I do is give them a little blanching, put them in a freezer bag, and then I put them away until we're ready to use them. So I'm just cutting them down in the size strips that I'm going to use them inside the house. And so when I wash them, all I got to do is wash them. They're already cut, and freeze them and put them away. I have canned greens before in my electric pressure canner. I don't know, my freezer's getting kind of full because I got so much celery that I might can a few jars of these collards. And we just had this past week, I opened a can or a jar of collard greens from last year, and they tasted pretty good. So I know it's possible. There's instructions on how to do it on the pressure canner. Now, you cannot water bath candies. You have to pressure can them. And they were quite delicious. And this way, I think it'll last longer than freezing, because eventually, when you freeze them, they're going to get the frost damage to them. So I think they'll last longer if I can them versus freezing them. So that's what I'm going to do with a few jars this time. Like, look at that. Isn't it just a beautiful collard green? And I don't like them big and long and leathery. That's not for me. Ugh. I like them young and tender, and where they almost like melt in your mouth. They're just so good when you do them that way, I think. But to each their own, whatever kind you prefer. I grow Morris heading collard greens. Morris heading collard greens. And they're not as thick as some of those, like the Georgia collards. I don't like those. They're just way too thick for me. I found this type of collard green, I don't know, probably about 5 years ago. And this is what I prefer to grow. Every now and then I'll pick up collard greens from a nursery or something like that, just playing around with them. They come out so thick. Ugh. So now I only purchase Morris heading collard greens. And I don't save seeds when it comes to my greens, because the seeds are so cheap. When you think about the number of seeds that you're getting, there's really no reason to save seeds in those situations, because you get thousands of seeds for just a couple of dollars. Well, let me get these cut up, and I will get back with you for whatever we're going to pick next. So I had to switch up my containers because there's just so many collard greens. So having to switch it up just a little bit. I didn't pick them clean. I said I was, but I didn't. And so I am now going to pick this curly kale. And, you know, it's so easy to tell the difference between curly kale and collard greens. But I don't want them getting mixed up together in the container. So I'm going to leave the kale whole, and I'll cut that up once I get inside, just so that they don't get all mixed in together and I have to separate them. But this plant, oh my goodness, this one plant would make a meal and then some. But my plan is to freeze all of this. And I will be picking some as well from my towers on the patio. So I have a tower with a lot of curly kale in it, as well as dinosaur kale. And so we're going to pick that pretty clean today and get that processed as well. I'm trying to keep it going, My goal is a year's supply of vegetables. I don't want to have to purchase any vegetables from the grocery store this winter. And so I am trying my best to grow a year's supply. And I think I've done it, guys. I think I've done it. No more vegetables from the grocery store. Nothing from the freezer, nothing from a jar, nothing from a can. I think we can do it. The only vegetables that I'm concerned about not having a supply through the winter will be broccoli and cauliflower. And so I'm trying to plant a really heavy harvest for this fall. Hopefully I can get enough to freeze so that I can just eat off of what's in the freezer. Which again is another reason why I'm going to I'm going to actually can all of my collard greens this round. So I have some in the freezer, but this round I will can. I mean, look at this. This bowl is full. So, all right, that's it for kale and collard greens in the garden. But I need to pick the broccoli in the garden, and I need a few onions. So I'm going to get some fresh onions. So there are a few onions in the garden that weren't really ready to be harvested. I keep saying I harvested all my onion, but there's a couple random places in the garden where it hasn't died back yet. And I need onion for my canning that I'm going to do tomorrow. So I'm going to pick a few onion, and I'm not going to worry about curing them and drying them and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to pick them, and then I'm going to cook with them tomorrow. So let's get a few onion picked as well. Yeah, so there's some over here where they were just starting to die back, but those are some nice size onion. Now, I have a whole bed here of onion that I never harvested. They were so small, and the necks weren't weak and whippy, so I didn't harvest them. I said, let them keep growing. Look at that. More onion. Let's see, what is this? I think this is no label. That's what this is. I know it's a type of sweet onion, but it's an onion with no label, so I don't really know what it is. But we will use these today. And I'm going to need some celery. And I have celery everywhere. I've froze celery. I've dehydrated celery. I've given celery away. This is definitely a bumper crop of celery. I think I need to go find something else to put my vegetables in. I will be right back. All right, let's go and finish picking these hot peppers. And I think I'm going to have to call it quits after I pick these hot peppers because I have nothing else to put it in. So let's go work on the other tower of hot peppers. So we are now on the patio of my she shed, and I have some hot peppers over here, and I want to pick those so that I can make sure I keep all my hot peppers together. So these are cayenne peppers, even though they're labeled as something else. These are cayenne peppers. And these, I honestly don't know what it is, but it's definitely not a poblano, which is labeled as a poblano, but this is not a poblano. I don't know what it is. I'm going to assume hot pepper, so I'm going to put it with the hot peppers. Look at this. This is a thunderbolt over here. So a couple sweet peppers, thunderbolts over here. And while I'm over here, I got a red yummy over here as well. But while I'm over here, I'm going to go ahead and clean up some of my plants while I'm here. Might as well clean them up and get them out of the way so the plants that are still producing have room to breathe. Now these were melon plants that never did anything for me, so I'm going to call it a day on those plants. I just don't think it's meant for me to grow in this particular location with the amount of shade that I have here. Not melon plants anyway. All right, we are cleaning up quite a few beds that we will be able to grow something else in. I said beds, but you guys knew I meant pockets, right? Here's another melon plant. Let's get that out of there. Clean up some of these dead leaves. And we will get these collard greens out the top. I'm going to completely remove those, but we will save that for another day. Okay, I think I'm all the way around. Well, there you have it. Here's our harvest for today. So we've fertilized, we've gotten in, and we've started harvesting some things that we need to take care of over the next day or so. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share. And until next time, I hope to see you back here again really soon. Bye.